Capcom only provided 3 games for the Famicom Disk System, and seeing them show up right now is a breath of fresh air. Though it does feel like the Disk System is where Capcom has decided to put all of their shoot-'em-ups. Gun.Smoke was one of the most successful television shows of all time, actually starting as a radio show and then running for a full 20 seasons once it transitioned to TV. It was a western about the travails of Marshal Matt Dillon and the adventures he had in Dodge City. And Gun.Smoke the game has no relation to it. Capcom just decided to use the same name because it was already familiar to people. They added a dot to the middle of it to try to dodge any trademark infringement claims. Without derailing this too far into intellectual property law, it's pretty dubious that that would have worked if they'd gotten into court. Trademarks are all about preventing confusion, and I know that as a child, I definitely thought the video game was related to the TV show. It's notable that in Capcom's most recent arcade collections, they've been a little trademark shy, using Japanese titles for some games where there's potential legal complications, and you'll find that they've changed the title screen for the Gun.Smoke arcade game, which was in English even in Japan, to use only Japanese characters. As for the Disk System port of Gun.Smoke, well, naturally they changed a lot, and I'm not just talking about the graphics. As has become almost traditional at this point, Capcom has added hidden items that you're almost required to find, as well as shops where you can spend your points to buy power-ups. The biggest difference, and it's not a good one, is that Gun.Smoke's 6 stages now loop endlessly. You're always marching toward the top of the screen, and if you get to the very end of that, well then you're back at the beginning. The way you stop this is by finding or buying the wanted poster. On every stage your goal is to kill someone, usually a criminal, but one of the stages is a little bit more iffy, and if you don't have that poster in hand when you reach the end of the stage, then that's what causes the loop. The poster is invisibly hidden somewhere on every stage. If you shoot just the right spot, it'll appear. Or alternatively, you can talk to one of the 2 shopkeepers on every stage, and one of them will offer to sell you the wanted poster. Of course, the wanted poster is extremely expensive, so if you have to purchase it, you probably had to do 2 or 3 loops of the stage to get enough points to buy it. The controls in Gun.Smoke are a little unusual, but they're adapted directly from the arcade, and I think they wind up working pretty well. Pressing B fires slightly to the left, pressing A fires slightly to the right, and if you hit them both simultaneously, then you fire up. The arcade game has a 3rd button for this. The timing on that is not frame perfect. There seems to be a 2 or 3 frame window where you can hit the other button, and then you'll fire straight ahead. So this doesn't feel as bad as it could have. On the other hand, you're not really going to have auto-fire here, and this is a game that will wear out your fingers fast. So you'll definitely want to use something like the Hudson Joy Card with an auto-fire feature. Shooting open barrels will reveal power-ups, or in some cases, power-downs. The most common and important ones are the boots and rifles. These give you speed up and extend the range of your guns, and even the top speed isn't especially fast, so you'll want to maximize both. You lose 1 level of those when you die, which usually will happen after 1 hit, unless you have something special. The Cow Skull also reduces your boots and rifle level by 1, so you'll want to avoid those. Other things you can find in barrels are cash bags that will increase your score, POWs that destroy all of the enemies on the screen, and bullets. Bullets are important, but they don't show up until you purchase a gun. Yes, you start with 2 guns in your hand, but one of the 2 shopkeepers in every stage will sell weapons. And once you have one of those, then you have to get bullets to use with that weapon. That means not buying any other weapon is a legitimate strategy to boost your score. If you don't have any extra guns, then all of those bullets become cash bags. You use the weapon that you've purchased by pressing select, and then choosing it from the menu. When you're using a special weapon and you die though, you lose that weapon. On the other hand, any other weapons you have, you keep. You can get a shotgun that fires a spread shot. I actually don't find this one to be especially useful because it slows down your rate of fire a lot, and you have pretty good spread with your guns already. Next is the machine gun, though if you're using a rapid fire controller you won't need it. And then there's the Magnum, which does enormous damage. Surprisingly, it's not very useful against bosses because you're always restricted to 1 point of damage at a time with them, but a lot of enemies take multiple hits to defeat, and so if you can't focus rapid fire on them, then this is a good way to clear them out. Finally, there's the Smart Bomb, and this is the best weapon you can have. After you collect a bullet for the Smart Bomb, it has a maximum of 1 bullet, you can equip it, and then it seems like nothing happens. You just keep shooting like normal. The Smart Bomb kicks in when you get hit and would have died. Then it kills everyone else on the screen instead. You completely lose the Smart Bomb from your inventory in that case, but the Smart Bomb is essentially acting as an extra life. The Smart Bomb will get you out of a lot of tough situations. There's other items that you can find just sitting around, usually by shooting the correct spot. There are 2 different colors of Capcom's trademark Yashichi, that's the pinwheel symbol they put in a lot of games at this point. The red ones are extra lives, while the blue ones make you invincible for a short time. And on the first stage you can shoot open a barrel to find a horse. On all of the other stages you have to purchase it. The horse will soak up damage for you. It takes 3 hits before it goes down, and will blink on that last hit. That makes it another great way to avoid damage, though considerably pricier than that Smart Bomb. For the most part, the stages work pretty well, but there are 2 big exceptions. Starting with the easier one to talk about, Stage 5 takes place on a river, and you'll bounce up and down on the transition between land and water. That'll prevent you from shooting, and it's possible to get a bit stuck in that location. Unlike other terrain you could get stuck on, it won't kill you if the screen scrolls that far, but there's a good chance you've been killed by something else at that point. And then there's Stage 3. Stage 3 has you shooting your way through a Native American tribe. This is definitely a case of Capcom mimicking the media, but this really shouldn't have been here. This doesn't even have an excuse of being well-intended but poorly executed. Even in the late 80s this kind of thing felt backward, and from the point of view in 2024, I wouldn't blame someone if they said this spoiled the whole game for them. At least in the case of the ninjas on Stage 4, Capcom's just mixing in their own culture. If you manage to make it all the way through the end of Stage 6 and beat the boss, who you have to fight twice for some reason, then the game will show you an ending, and then it loops back to the beginning. It's a little bit harder, and then the game just keeps looping continuously like that. One extra challenge about Gun.Smoke for the Disk System is that there are no continues. It's 3 lives and then you're done, unless you earn extra lives. Now that said, you can enter this cheat code at the Game Over screen and pick up from the stage that you died at, though you're back to no power-ups in that case. Japanese players seem to think pretty highly of this version of Gun.Smoke. I saw quite a few who called it better than the arcade, though I think I disagree there. That's a bit of a surprise since this is likely another case where this version was developed for the US. The US version was released simultaneously, has more music, and it's a bit friendlier to play. Capcom had to strip it back for the FDS release. My feeling on Gun.Smoke is that it's a lot of fun to play, but I really wish Stage 3 didn't exist. I'm not going to resolve the eternal argument of how do we engage with problematic media from the past. You're going to have to make up your own mind and draw the lines where you feel it's appropriate. I'll just say that in terms of raw gameplay, ignoring all of the concerns of the theme, Gun.Smoke is extremely good. It plays unlike any other shoot-'em-up out there, and I think it works really well. That said, it's not a game that I really want to go back to often.